It is Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, and today we're having a classic feud from the past from 1983, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Jimmy the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka versus the magnificent Don Muraco. Now, they had a famous cage match in Madison Square Garden on October 17th, 1983. But I'm just doing a regular match here. I didn't do the cage today. Maybe I'll do a rematch with the cage at some point. But today I'm just doing the cage. I'm not doing the cage. I'm just doing a regular standard match. So two legends of the ring going at it. But yeah, in their prime in the '80s, they had a great feud. But the cage match in '83 is the probably the peak of their feud and a famous WWF moment. This actually happened shortly before Hulk Hogan's big run started in the '80s. It was about 3 months before. Yeah, a little more than 3 months before Hogan won the title from the Sheik, and everything changed. This is right before that era, but this is one of the great moments from before that, when they had a feud. Jimmy Snuka actually went to the top of the cage. For those that don't know, Jimmy Snuka, he went to the top of the cage and jumped off on top of Don Muraco. Snuka actually lost that match. He did. People just remember the leap, but that match, Jimmy Snuka actually lost that match, and actually jumped off on Muraco after the match was over. The leap, but Muraco actually fell out of the cage by accident, and Snuka won. I mean, Snuka and Muraco won. Rather. And a lot of people don't remember the details of that, but I think it might be on the network. And I'm sure it's on YouTube for people want to see it. If you've never seen it, or if you want to go relive it again, it was a great match. Gorilla Monsoon was on the commentary, and I always liked how he called the matches. But it was pretty cool. The Garden, they were going crazy in the Garden as Snuka stood on top of the cage and leaped off on Muraco, and Gorilla Monsoon's like, Muraco's gonna have to go to the hospital tonight, and really played it up good. But yeah, Jimmy Snuka's one of the legendary wrestlers. He was one of the top guys until one of the top guys in wrestling until Hogan came in '84. Before that, Jimmy Snuka he was a bad guy. He was with Captain Lou Albano, and just filling everybody in for those that didn't know about Jimmy Snuka. But yeah, his prime was probably the '80s. I guess he started wrestling in the '70s, but his prime, yeah, his most famous for the '80s. He had a LJN wrestling figure. Both these guys did. Muraco also had the LJN figures from the wrestling figure line. I know Mattel has the license now, but back then it was a company called LJN that had the license and they had a Don Muraco and Jimmy Snuka figures back then. If you don't remember, I'm sure you could buy them on eBay today. They're probably expensive because they're 40-year-old figures, but they they were fun figures. They didn't bend or anything like that. If you never seen one, they were like made of rubber, and but you could still play with them and have a good match with them. It's just they didn't have the bending and everything for today, but they were a line that was made from one of the great rosters the WWF ever had. So why it's a classic line to own if you want to buy. I mean, it probably cost you tens of thousands of dollars to buy them on eBay now because they're probably each one's probably a few $100s, and there was like 70 or so of them. So I could talk about the LGN figures all day. It was a great line of figures. So yeah, Don Morocco's a little more beaten up here. These are both created community. I got both these off community creations. Neither of these are in the game. I wish they were in the game, but they're not. I'd like to if they did a WWE 2K like classics edition of the wrestling game where it just has like guys from the '80s and '90s and '70s and even back to the '50s, and has a roster of like 200 wrestlers from pre 2000. That would be cool if they did. I don't know how it would sell, if it would sell well or not, but that would be a cool thing to have if they ever did that. Morocco. Oh, nice pile driver, Morocco. That's it. That may end it right there. Let's see, 1, 2. Nope, Jimmy Snuka kicked out. So yeah, Snuka. It's his most famous feud is probably with Roddy Piper, which I think I may have done that match on. I can't remember. So this is my 86th match. Hard to remember every match I did. But famous, yeah, Snuka. Who else Snuka feud with? But yeah, he had a with Piper and Muraco are the two feuds that stand out to me that Snuka had. And he actually Snuka's also famous for starting the Undertaker streak. He was WrestleMania 7. Undertaker beat Jimmy Snuka to start the streak. He was the first victim of the Undertaker in '91 at WrestleMania 7. Snuka got beat. And if you were watching WrestleMania 5, they introduced Jimmy Snuka because he was coming. It was like a big surprise. He was coming back to the WWF after being gone a few years. And he came out at WrestleMania 5. For those that remember that, Morocco's bleeding a bit. Got it too. Oh, Jimmy Snuka wins. That's it. Snuka beats Morocco. All right. I hope you enjoyed the match today, and I'll be back tomorrow's Wednesday. I'll be back for a midweek match. Bye bye.